Good afternoon, and I wanted to respond to a post from Watchman River Tom Coate. He said, "Have you given up on the rapture?" I'm sure that you might want to respond. I have not, but I do think that there are people that are discouraged. But what I want to tell you is that while this UN SDG meeting had gone on, they had agreed on the 17 goals of the changes that will be made for between now and 2030. And at any point, those agreements, one I know, of course, is the change between gasoline cars to electric cars. And I had a conversation. This is what's going on the ground level. I had a conversation with my sister yesterday who fears that she's not going to be able to make her car payment. And I told her, I said, you might want to invest in an electric bike because she can bike to work because that's how close she lives to her job. I said, it's going to come down to that for a lot of people, and gasoline prices are just going to increase. I just said, that's the forecast. And I want to make this title, this video, the forecast. We are in muddy waters. And I don't mean that literally. They're muddying the waters now to condition us for what these SDG goals will be for the future. And what I mean is conditioning is a psychological term for us to be prepared for the Soylent Green meats to replace the bovine that we are used to consuming. So that's probably just a few that I'm just gonna mention. But I don't want to talk about the UN SDG meeting per se. I just wanted to mention that we are in muddy waters. And what I mean is, I was listening to Mike from Around the World with Paul Begley. And one of the things that I need to say is that it's hard to listen to that interview because Mike from Around the World has a lot to say. And a lot of times, Paul Begley interrupts his train of thought. Mike from Around the World will be in a complete thought and discuss something that is so certain that sometimes Paul Begley interrupt and doesn't let him complete his statement. And that's what's kind of discouraging about listening to the interview. But what Mike from Around the World was saying is that the climate is what we need to be concerned about. The weather's changing, as you know. The first day of fall is upon us now, and it's getting chillier, and the weather is changing because of the fires have cooled down the earth. And I don't know how many degrees it cools down, but we are now entering in volcanism, and it's in the Atlantic Ocean. And if you want to hear more about the interview, you have to go over to the Paul Begley website. This was yesterday's interview last night. I'm not linking it because I just rather you go over there yourself and listen to the interview. But Mike from Around the World is known to be very accurate in his interviews and his discussion points. What I would say about muddying the waters is that this conditioning that is going on is to condition people to lose their faith and lose their morale and get discouraged about the rapture of the church. This is what I mean when I think of people getting discouraged by watching rapture videos and not wanting to unsubscribing and getting away from it. That's why I decided to move my channel work with the field report to the Rumble, because there's less censorship over there too. And I want you to see that there's other work that needs to be done to help salvation issues and other issues that I work on the side. I have a job to do, is what I'm saying. Muddying the waters is getting us prepared for this agenda. It's a conditioning, it's a psychological warfare. And that psychological warfare is working on people in churches just like it is at jobs. And it's more than just what I'm saying, it's the ground level work. It's hard to talk to people about stuff like this unless you know that there's an ulterior motive. As you know, that's why they call it an agenda. And it's important to have this discussion now because the weather is going to be so frightening cold. And the Farmer's Almanac, they said that this winter is going to be one of the coldest winters. And we need to pay attention to what it is going to be like now. We don't know what kind of forecast it is going to be today unless we pay attention. Just like in the Bible, it says you can pay attention to the weather forecast now, but you don't know the signs of the times. We know the signs of the times by watching what we've been watching. It's not too much longer. We do know that. We don't know when. We can only adjust our schedule as needed. We got to be in the Word. If you don't like Bible prophecy, it can be very discouraging for me too. And I don't want to hammer the topic away. I don't want to beat this subject up. I'm not a Bible scholar. I'm not a Bible teacher. I'm not any of those things. I'm just a person trying to get the word out to warn those people that are not saved. I try to do this work as a work for the Lord, but my works are just rags. Listen, if one person gets saved, I did more than what I could have possibly ever done for anybody. But it's not my job to do the saving. It's the Holy Spirit that does that saving work in all of us. So when I talk about the muddy waters, it's we're all in muddy waters right now. Not literally, but we are in muddy waters. I need to talk about something important. I have a relative who's homosexual, who's been physically assaulted because they're homosexual. I'm against any violence against homosexuality. It's not right, it's wrong, and especially because it's a youngster. And because this person violated and assaulted a member of my family because they're homosexual, I can say this personally, their homophobic behavior is not okay in my book. Now, I know that the Lord hates homosexuality. That's not to be said. But I know that the Lord loves all people. And he says, love the person, hate the sin. That's the difference in my eyes. Now, that person believes in Jesus and struggles with homosexuality. Now, this person got violent with my younger member of my family. And I wanted your input on what you think about this topic. If you think I'm wrong, I understand. But to be violent and physically violent with a youngster that is struggling with homosexuality is downright wrong, and I am upset. And I personally do not care for anybody getting violent with anybody, especially a young child that's struggling with an issue like this. So I decided to say we are in muddy waters for a reason, and it is murky. So thank you for listening, and God bless you. Good. And then again, check out my page on Rumble, the Field Report in all caps 23. Thank you again, and God bless you.